All right, let's keep going. This is chapter 24, The Lady of the East. The twins followed the ghost for hours and hours across the land. They traveled through a series of forests, over streams, and over grassy hills as they voyaged farther and farther, following the spirit into the east. Occasionally, the ghost would look back at the twins to make sure that they were still following her, and wait for the twins to catch up before proceeding. Eventually, they arrived at the large river that was marked at the Eastern Kingdom's border. At least the twins assumed it was the border, since everything else on the opposite side was consumed by thorn bushes and vines. "She's crazy if she thinks we're going in there," Connor said. The Lady of the East floated upstream to a large maple tree. She lingered by its roots until the twins met her there. She pointed to the ground, and the twins saw a small circular door hidden in the dirt. Connor pulled it open and discovered a ladder leading down into the narrow tunnel. "It's a secret passage," Alex said. "Are we supposed to go in there?" Alex asked the ghost. The Lady of the East slowly nodded her head. She retracted into a small, ghostly orb and flew into the passage. Alex and Connor followed her, cautiously making their way down the ladder. The tunnel was dark and dingy. The orb gave off its only light, and the twins followed it like the North Star as it continued, leading them east underground. The dirt surrounding them became moist and muddy as they traveled along the river. She seems to know where she's going," Connor said. "This must be the secret entrance into the Eastern Kingdom," Alex said. "Something tells me we're the only one that's been in here for a very long time." There was no footprints or a single insect or a rodent in sight. The twins were led through the tunnel for miles and miles. Their feet grew tired and ached a little more every step. "Are we there yet?" Connor asked the orb, but he didn't get an answer. Finally, the tunnel came to an end at the other ladder. Alex and Connor climbed up the ladder and peeked through another circular door above it. They pushed the door open and climbed out of the passage. The twins found themselves in a square room with hay covering the ground and a spacious wooden stalls built around the walls. "Looks like we're in a stable," Connor said. "Well, then where are all the horses?" Alex asked. The orb expanded back into the Lady of the East. She glided across the stable and through a pair of open wooden doors. Alex and Connor followed her again, peering through the doors before walking through them. They found a stone spiral staircase that twisted high above them. "Connor, I think we're in Sleeping Beauty's castle," Alex said. The Lady of the East glared at them from the stairs. We're coming," Connor said. The twins followed the ghost up the stone steps, climbing higher and higher into the castle. They finally reached one of the highest floors and followed the Lady of the East down the hallway with the stained glass windows. The windows were dark, though, as if something was covering them from the other side. They passed a window with an unobstructed view and looked out at the rest of the castle and the land surrounding it. Alex shrieked and grabbed her brother's arm. "Oh my gosh," she said and covered her mouth. "Whoa," Connor said under his breath. The castle was so consumed by the enchantress's plants, it almost looked like one large plant itself. The thorn bushes and vines had wrapped around the castle, leaving nothing uncovered. The twins saw soldiers and servants and villagers spread across the land, with vines coiled around them like serpents covering their prey. Some were pinned to the ground, while others were suspended hundreds of feet above the air over the castle like ornaments on a monstrous Christmas tree. You don't see something like that every day." Pepper wanted to see what we were doing. Connor had said softly. The twins turned to the Lady of the East. She floated farther down the hall and paused. And phased through the door. Alex and Connor. "Pepper, get out of here." Connor and Alex opened the door and walked into the room, but the ghost had vanished. They looked around the room that they had just entered, and a large, luxurious four-poster bed pushed against the wall had caught their eye. They were in the king and queen's chambers. "Who are you?" a deep voice called out. King Chase was seated by the fireplace. Hey, what are you doing?" Pepper came to say hi. Nap time for Pepper. All right, let's see. The twins jumped when they saw him. Sorry to disturb you, Alex said. We didn't realize we were walking into your private chambers. The king studied them curiously. How did you get into the castle? We were following somebody, Alex said. Who? King Chase said. Neither twins had an answer. Well, we're really not sure who she is exactly, Alex said. A pushy ghost, that's who, Connor said under his breath. She led us through a secret tunnel. The twins expected the king to look at them as if they were crazy, but he did the opposite. A ghost? King Chase said. Is this ghost by chance the spirit of a woman with a flower in her hair? Yes, Alex said. Do you know who she is? King Chase nodded. You must have been following the ghost of old Queen Beauty. She's been haunting this castle for years. Queen Beauty? Connor asked with a confused face. But we just saw your wife last week. She's alive. King Chase rested his head at the back of the chair and let out a long sigh of relief. I'm glad to hear that. I haven't heard or seen much of her since she fled the castle. No one has been able to get in or out since the plants attacked. So there are 2 Queen Beauties? Connor asked. King Chase stood and walked to the portrait on the wall. It was of a beautiful woman, unmistakably the Lady of the East, when she had been alive. The ghost is the spirit of my wife's grandmother, Queen Beauty the First, after whom she was named. King Chase explained. Historically speaking, my wife is Queen Beauty the Second. The world just knows her as Sleeping Beauty. That's why she looks so familiar. Sleeping Beauty looks just like her grandmother, Connor said. The ghost only reveals herself to people she thinks that can help in a time of need, King Chase said and eyed the twins. I should know. I never would have kissed Sleeping Beauty and broken the sleeping curse if Queen Beauty hadn't been there to guide me into this castle. Interesting, Alex said and studied the portrait. Beside it was another painting of Queen Beauty standing next to a large animal of some kind. It had thick fur, large claws, and a mane like a lion's. Wait a second. Beauty, Alex thought. Is old Queen Beauty the Beauty from the story Beauty and the Beast? Indeed, said a woman's voice, and the twins and King Chase turned to see the ghost of old Queen Beauty floating toward them. I came to live in the castle when I was a very young woman. I was meant to settle my father's debt with a king cursed to live as a hideous beast. But when I fell in love with him, the curse was lifted and he became human again. The twins froze. You can talk? Connor asked. Might have been nice if you would explain to this in the first time that you scared the crap out of us. I apologize for my methods in getting you here, Beauty said. I can only speak when I am in my own house. Alex was fascinated by the heritage and silently thought on it, trying to make sense of it all. So, there are 2 curses in this castle, broken by an act of love, Alex said. What a coincidence. This is not a coincidence at all, Beauty said. The curses were cast by the same person, Esmea. Both the twins shook their head in disbelief. They weren't expecting this twist in the story. Hang on, Connor said. Esmea is who turned your husband into the beast? The ghost nodded somberly. Yes, she said. You see, Esmea fell in love with my husband long before I met him. When he could not reciprocate her love, she cursed him, thinking that no one would ever love a beast. And then you broke the spell, and years later she cursed your granddaughter? Alex asked. Guess she didn't like the name Beauty, Connor said with a shrug. The enchantress has cursed every generation of my family, Beauty told her. She bewitched my son in desiring a wife who could spin hay into gold. He eventually found a maiden who claimed to do so, but only because she made a deal with Rumpelstiltskin to do it for her. And Rumpelstiltskin was working for Esmea at the time, Connor said, just piecing everything together. He spun the hay into gold in exchange for her firstborn child. Wait, there's a theme in Esmea's attacks on your family. They all involve a spinning wheel, don't they? But why? Before I came to live in the castle with the beasts, my sisters and I spun thread in a village nearby, Beauty said. Esmea couldn't stand the fact that my husband chose to love a spinner rather than a great fairy like herself. She has forced the spinning wheel upon my family ever since. It takes a lot of effort, Connor said. Why would she put so much energy into cursing your family because of something that happened so long ago? The twins could almost see a small smile appear on the ghost's face. The twins were following her story perfectly. Because the enchantress, above all things, values her pride. Beauty said, and my family has always been a reminder of Esmea's great loss and embarrassment. The twins felt their hearts skip a beat. Her pride, Alex said, that's it. That's the enchantress's most prized possession. That's why you brought us here, isn't it? Connor asked. You knew what we needed. The ghost of old Beauty nodded again. King Chase was just about caught up in her story as the twins were, still learning things about the family that he married into. I have a question, King Chase said. Is that why you haunt this castle still? Because you're protecting your family against the enchantress? The ghost dismally lowered her head. In her scheme to take over the world, the enchantress imprisoned my husband's soul, just as she has your grandmother. Beauty said to the twins, I've walked the earth waiting for his soul to be free so I could be reunited with him on the other side. What's up with all the souls? Connor asked. Can't she just collect stamps or antiques like a normal person? I'm afraid I don't have an answer to that question, Beauty said, but I've asked somebody who will join to join us. The ghost of old Queen Beauty, gestured behind them to the fireplace. Another spirit stepped out of the smoke of the tiny flame.